I got to know Jin Yap about 8 years ago.
Her determination,
She's confidence.
cara pekerjaan dia tu, like I said, never give up.
She also managed to find time to be a professional, actively involved in social work as well.
Jin can also cook well.
I like to work with her and learn from her.
Steamed fish is a must during Chinese New Year. Yeah, because steamed fish symbolize prosperity,
Correct.
abundance, and fish and water seems to bring abundance, and
A lot.
it means good investment as well, especially during Chinese New Year. So steamed fish is a must. So chef, there's a few things I would like to ask you, because many of us think steamed fish is so easy, but it's actually not
It
as
is
simple.
easy.
So there's a few questions
simple.
I want to ask you. Number one is, how do you actually look for a good fish, that the fish is fresh? And normally, we not only just want to buy the fresh fish. During Chinese New Year, as you get closer, it's very expensive to buy Pomfret or Garupa. So we tend to buy a few weeks in advance.
Early?
Yes, we buy early. And so when we buy, we need to know how to store the fish so that it keep fresh. Number two, when we are steaming the fish, we also want to know when is it cooked perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are the tips that we would really appreciate if you could share with me and also my audience out there.
Okay. I think the first one is to know whether the fish is fresh or not. First thing is that the fish have to look happy. Happy in the sense, the eye has to be still intact, the fin has to be intact.
Hi,
Nothing is actually broken. And then what happens is, the thing about it also is that there's no blood bruises on the fishes. And then the next, very important, if you are able to, when you bring home, smells it. They must not have a very funny fishy smell, but you must differentiate fishy and fish smell.
Yes.
So when it's rotten or not fresh, there's a certain aroma from it. So we have to identify that. And then the second thing about how to store it before eating and things like that. One of the best thing normally I do is that I'll bring it back, do a quick rinse, quick wash, or just a quick rinse, and then tap dry, and then put it into our vacuum bag. And then you guess what I use?
So
I used the 𝘯𝘯𝘯 blender.
You were telling me about
Yes,
this vacuum
correct,
bag.
vacuum
Okay.
bags. And then we actually have one of this machine under 𝘯𝘯𝘯 whereby it allows us to suck away all the air and then put it in. We will show you in the coming videos how this has been done.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. And how do you how do you sort of cut your fish?
Okay, one of the things about to make sure that your fish actually cook
Yes.
completely and what we say evenly is that whenever you do a cutting on the fish, on a case, you need to cut a few lines. But a lot of people, when they cut lines, right, they cut strips. Okay, the correct way behind it is actually when you cut, right, you have to put your knife on a slant. So you have to cut slant and
It's
deep.
like a 45 degrees.
Yes, slightly. Okay, but don't let it break off, kind of thingy. And then once you've done that already, when it's deep enough, on both sides.
I see.
On
So
both sides.
then, so that it gets cooked easier in the part where it's very sort
Thick,
of
very
very
thick, especially the center part and things
especially
like that.
this part. I
Correct.
see. No wonder you just. I noticed you
It's
cut
very,
it quite
it's
deep.
quite deep. It's quite deep. You need to. You need to.
Okay.
And then another important thing is that when we do steamed fish, right? Before I show you the ingredients and things like that, the first thing the steamed fish must have is always before you steam a fish, make sure that your pot of water. And I'm using this 𝘯𝘯𝘯 stainless steel
Yes.
pot. This has been one of my classic pot at home. Back in Singapore, this pot allowed me to actually cook 2 big packets of bihun for big party.
You know why?
Yeah.
It's a 5-ply stainless steel wok. 1810 stainless
Very
steel
thick
wok,
actually, very
which is
durable.
Thick, so it is good conductor, very good conductivity of heat. So that's why when you steam it, it's also very hygienic because it's 1810 stainless steel.
And then I noticed that it has 3 holes on the sides that allow the steams to come out. Most of the others that doesn't have, it will start to make
It
noise.
will start to wobble.
Wobbles and things like that. Okay. So
But
what I'll do
can
is
I ask you another one before
you
you
say?
do? Your cut, is it on one side or on both
On
sides?
both sides.
Oh,
Have to be on both
sides.
sides. Have to be on both sides. Okay.
Right.
And then very important thing is that before you steam a fish, always make sure your water is boiling hot. Okay. Your water is not boiling hot. The recipe tells you 10 minutes. By the time the water boiled, the fish have not even started cooking.
I see.
Okay. So you have to be boiling hot. One is actually boiling hot. Put it in to actually steam. Okay. You could throw in a couple of strips of ginger. put it on, okay? Exactly using your handphone, time it. For this size, around 8 to 10 minutes.
8 to 10 minutes.
Okay? Once the fish is done, do not be anxious to put in your sauce. There's excess water from the steaming of the fish. Pour away the excess water away before you put in your seasoning. And then I will tell you a special method to do steamed fish.
Aha, okay, all right. So,
Okay, let's wait for 10 minutes.
do you actually put salt on the fish?
Oh, no.
Oh,
You
we
put
normally
nothing
put
of it.
salt and clean it and so forth.
You clean process, you can put salt in, but the
And
fish
then
is
after you
fresh,
clean
you
it,
don't have to do much about
nothing,
it.
just a
Yeah,
bit
this
of
is a very
ginger.
fresh fish, so
Oh,
we're
just
not
a
going to
bit
do
of
anything.
ginger. Okay.
Yeah, a bit ginger, but if your fish is a frozen fish, maybe you need to rub some salt over it. But
Yes.
salt actually will cause the texture of the meat to actually change.
Ah,
Yeah.
I see.
So,
So that is a hint. Don't put anything. Just a bit of ginger, you know.
that will do.
Yeah.
That will do. For the recipe, right, it's very, very simple. Other than ginger that we just used just now, okay, you also need some chili, red chili slice. You need some carrot slice for color, a bit of spring onion julienne, and then some mushroom, dry mushroom. And dry mushroom soak in hot water so it makes it actually soften a little bit, and then cut it into strips. And then the most important thing is that we need one of this soya sauce, the top drawer soya sauce. Okay, this is something I swear by. Okay, this is one of the few very good soya sauce, and then you don't need much of it. This is all the ingredients you need, and then what happens is let's wait for the steam to be cooked, and I'll show you step by step how is this going to be done. Okay, 8 to 10 minutes, plus minus. Okay, so are you ready? So let's have a look at how
8
the
minutes
fish.
ready.
Yeah,
Yes.
8 minutes, around 8 to
Yes.
10 minutes, depends. Okay, so you go.
Wow, look at that.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
One of the methods, or one of the way to actually know whether the fish is cooked or not,
Yes.
is actually for Pomfret itself. We look at the gap. It must have a gap of minimum 1.5 to 2 cm.
Ah, you mean when it opens up, the gap opens
Correct.
up?
There must
I
have a gap
see.
that is actually that portion.
Wow, look at the gap.
Yes, and then you can also see it like it's actually totally cooked. If you're
And-
not sure, get the chopsticks, lightly poke it into the.
And I can see the fins even sticking out.
Okay, so what we're
Yeah.
gonna do is I'm gonna show you how this recipe has been done.
The fins is on salute.
So what happens is that what we can actually do is actually pour off the extra liquids into the
Oh,
pot.
so we must take out all the
You must
liquid.
take away all the liquid away.
From the fish.
Yeah,
I see.
It must be. Okay?
Okay.
And then put it onto the stove. Okay.
Yes.
And then how we have a good steamed fish is ready to serve. A bit more ginger in the center. A bit of chili to garnish
Yes.
it. A little bit of spring onion. A little bit of spring onion. A little bit of carrots
Sliced carrot. Yes.
on the side
Okay.
for colors.
Oh, looking nice. Yeah.
Okay, and then some mushrooms. Some mushrooms on the sides. Okay, it might be a bit crunchier, but it's good mushroom. Just hot water, a bit of mushrooms on the side. Okay, and then we get some
Oh, the hot
dipping
oil.
oil.
Ah.
Just maybe a tablespoon and a slightly more. And then we just drizzle on it.
I see.
And then you can actually see the hot oil drizzle onto the
Fish.
And then to me, it's like the ginger might be still a bit crunchy, but a bit of soft and cool
Yes.
inside.
Yes.
Just before you go, a little bit of soya sauce.
Also, we drizzle some soy
Drizzle
sauce
just before
on
you
top.
serve.
Ah,
Just before you serve. Yeah.
So the tip is just before you serve, you drizzle some high quality soy sauce.
draw soya
the
sauce,
first draw soy sauce.
First soya sauce.
I also use this first draw soy sauce. It doesn't cost much, and it gives you,
Wonderful
very
flavors.
wonderful flavors. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So beautiful. I love it.
It's hot.
Look at that. Wow. It's hot, but I still hold it. Look at it. Chef, it's so
Thank you.
beautiful.
我们祝大家
年年有余。